Bicycle on the beat.
Welcome back to episode 18 of the Zoo House Sports Fantasy Football Zoo podcast, exactly 3 weeks before the start of the NFL season. If it's your first time tuning in, my name's Matt, aka Zoo House Zebra, and I'm joined once again by my favourite analysts.
Tom, aka Zoo House Go. Just remember, if it's too good to be true, it usually is, especially in fantasy trades.
And Rich, aka Zoo House Bear, the only advice you need to win a fantasy championship this year.
We're a bunch of mates who love the football and the fantasy sports, and now we're doing a podcast and vodcast about it. We've got everything covered, from potentially great advice to Super Bowl takes, all sprinkled that little dash of silliness.
In this week's episode, we're tackling what might be our final mock draft of the season. But if you have a league with some funky settings and want to see how we would draft it, get in touch using the info at the end of today's show, and we'll do our best to make it happen for you.
But before we start drafting, we are joined by our very special guest, fellow Home League member and previous champion, Money League maestro, and today's guest drafter, our Chief Man. Chief! So, Chiefy, tell us about your journey down the fantasy football black hole.
Hello gents, thanks very much for having me on. I got into fantasy 3 years ago. It was Mr. Bear and Mr. Goat that actually invited me to the league to begin with. And I must admit I did not know very much about fantasy when I first joined. But just over time I generally got more and more into it, and I think it's amazing now. I cannot wait to listen to podcasts on the way to work and just crack on with some stats, and I cannot count the amount of hours me and Bear have spent talking about, just on WhatsApp, talking about different stats and tactics and all that kind of razzmatazz. Probably why 2 years in a row we were in the ship battling it out. He took the first one and I took the second with a very brave, might I say, CJ Anderson pickup at the very last moment. He barreled through that defence like a cannonball and took me all the way to the finish line. So that was one of my favourite memories. But yeah, that's me, I think.
Any regular listeners?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Yep.
Any regular listeners will know Chief as the other half of last year's blockbuster trade deal that Zebra and Goat are still convinced was a little bit of
collusion.
There you go, collusion, where we masterminded a trade
collusion.
of what was it, Julio and Melvin Gordon for Lamar Jackson and Josh Jacobs.
That was a big balls trade.
It was a big balls trade. I genuinely think it was fair and clear.
I still don't know who won that trade,
but
I know who lost the rest of our league.
Well,
That's what collusion does.
When we make it to 2/3 of the championships between us, on a regular basis, then it's more for you boys.
Matt, you've
To
made
be
it
quite
to a
fair,
ship,
though,
haven't you?
when a trade, I have actually. Thank you. When a trade comes in from Chief, though, it's legitimate. You come from a mathematics background, haven't you, with a university degree in maths, and I know that you have worked it out as fair can be. So it's a lot nicer trading with you than, let's say, Goat, who's just an ask when it comes to trades. And I think that quote directly from him, just remember it's too good to be true, probably is. That is him. So anyway, let's move on to the actual show. As the Bear has pointed out, we are going to split the show into two sections right now. So Bear is going to take us through how we're going to approach the mock draft, how we're going to split our positions in the draft, and then afterwards we're going to bring in a new type of game again, and it's going to be called Head to Head. So stay tuned and listen up for it.
Now, on your beautiful YouTube screens, you will be able to see a wonderful website called 100yardrush.com. This was introduced to us by Chief for the Money League, how we randomised our draft order. Those at home, the other guys can't see it, so they're going to watch this back because they're going to be convinced that I've cheated if I end up with the first pick. But you can see here we have Goat, Zebra,
My guy's white.
Bear, Chief,
I'm never going to
and
win
then
this.
six auto draft slots. So if we go to the next screen, how many shuffles do we want, boys?
We'll let our guest choose.
Chief?
I think 7.
7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have Chief starting from lane 4, Bear starting in lane 6, Zebra in lane 7, and Goat in lane 9. Let's click through the rest of these options. And in 3, 2, 1, it is underway. Oh, actually, it is a 3-2-1.
Right,
now,
go on,
so
number
I've,
7. You can do
I've
this.
kind of shot my load early there. Here we go. Oh, the Bear and Chief are off to an early lead. Chief is storming ahead with this one. Auto is
got the
coming
Usain.
back. Zebra's making a late gain. Whereas Goat,
Go-
he's up
go
there as
on.
well. Goat is about to take the
Come on.
lead. We have
Giddy
our
up.
Bear is now in almost last place of the 4. It's going to be between Chief. Chief takes first. Auto takes. No, he doesn't. Auto takes first. Chief takes second. Another Auto takes third. Another Auto takes 4th. Goat takes 5th. Bear takes 6th. Auto takes 7th. Auto takes 8th. Zebra takes 9th. And an Auto takes 10th. So has anyone got their home league draft slot?
Wait, sorry, what did you say I was?
You have 9th.
Yeah, that's my home slot.
So let's
wow.
see. I have 6th. So if I go in and claim 6th pick, there we
5th,
go.
if I believe.
Yeah, go. If you go in and claim 5th pick. Zebra, if you go in and claim 9th, and Chief, if you go in and claim 2nd. This is good. I'm drafting in our home league in 2nd in 2 weeks' time, so I'll get a nice little preview of what I should be taking here.
Travis Kelce in the
Fantastic.
first
Here we go.
round.
Perfect. Right.
Okay, so with everybody got their positions, let's get the mock draft underway.
10-team PPR standard roster lineup: quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a flex, a kicker, defense, and 15 picks total. So that makes it 6 bench slots. 3 minutes a pick. Begin draft. There we go, and it's absolutely no surprises.
That's a hell of a surprise.
Christian
CMC straight
McCaffrey off the
board.
bench.
Yeah, well, being second, I think I'm going to have to go for Saquon Barkley. I actually have a lot of faith in Daniel Jones. I think he's gonna bounce back. He had a lot of fumbling issues last year, but if he works on them in the off season, I think you see a lot of quarterbacks take a look at what they've done wrong and then work on it during the off season and come back refreshed and ready. I mean, just look at Lamar Jackson. He had an issue with throwing the ball. Everyone said he wouldn't be able to come into the season and own it, and he did. He worked on it really hard, and I think Daniel Jones is probably going to do the same with his fumbling problem. So I'm going to take Saquon Barkley. Big Giants fan.
Wasn't it
this
like
year.
the 5th play of Lamar's second year where he threw like that 80-yard dart to Hollywood Brown, and everyone was like, "Oh, okay, you can throw the ball. Don't worry about that. We're over that now." We had Zeke and Derrick Henry go at 3 and 4, which puts Goat on the clock.
That's a bit early for Derrick Henry, isn't it, at the moment? 4th?
It depends. I've seen a lot of people really wanting to secure their running backs early, and you do start seeing Thomas. Where did you get him in the money league, Tom? Where did Thomas drop to you?
6th pick.
6th pick. So yeah, it's whilst Thomas I think does deserve to be a top 5 pick, it's not unusual to see him
Henry
going
was shown to be
later.
pass catching because Darrington Evans fumbled twice at practice already on his first day.
Oh, good lad.
And
Oh, no.
yeah, and then he was already sent to do laps. But as my mentor and former member of says, I always get what I want.
No.
And
No.
I'm going to take, with the 5th pick, I'm going to go, what, ballsy, I'm going CEH all day, every day.
CEH.
I mean, that's a pretty brave pick. We know he's going to pick up a
I'm
big
not a
workload
pussy, I'll
now
take
that
that
Damien
pick.
Williams is gone.
I don't think that's really surprising anymore. I think that's quite standard now, a top 5 picks CEH in there.
I think the only problem I have with him is at that position he's being drafted at his ceiling. Like I can't see him taking the spot away from Zeke or Saquon or so. Yeah, like I can see why people are drafting him at that, but I prefer a bit more safety in my pick.
I mean, there's safety and we don't even know how he's going to be used. So there's risk and reward though. It's like CMC last season. Where did he fall in our league? He wasn't first pick, was he?
4th, yeah.
4th pick, and yet look what a season he had. So I'm just wondering whether or not CH is going to replicate that for us anyway.
Just before I make my pick, did you know, I saw a stat the other day, you could take away all 19 of McCaffrey's touchdowns last year and you still would have finished as RB1 by like 40 points.
It's insane.
Ridiculous. No wonder he's going consensus 101. So I'm going to compound your Michael Thomas confusion here, Matt, because there's plenty of wide receivers I'd like to take a shot on in the middle of the second, but there's not many running backs I would like to take in the middle of the second. So I'm stuck between Alvin Kamara and Dalvin Cook. I kind of have them as 5 and 6 respectively on my big board, but I've heard today they are they're restricting Cook's reps while he works out a new deal. So whilst he's reported to camp, there might still be troubles there. Oh no, it's Derek Henry, isn't it, who's doing that?
No,
well.
Alvin Kamara's a vegan.
Alvin Kamara's a vegan, and I'm going to take vegan power on my team because it's going to take a year for veganism to ruin him.
Right, so sensibly, Michael Thomas then goes off the board, and Dalvin Cook after that. So
Easy, Devontae.
I mean, realistically, your best pick here probably is one of the 3 wide receivers left, Devontae, Hill or Jones.
Oh,
Devontae Adams, off he
Why
goes.
did you lock in Devontae, Matt? Just because you wanted strength at wide receiver, or?
I'm trying to keep the value where I can. I think the first couple of picks for me is all about getting that value, but I'm a bit stuck here because
Whilst
as you
you're,
can see, I think I need a running back.
Whilst you're thinking about
I
that,
think I'm. Oh, okay, yeah, sure.
give you a moment to think. Joe Mixon went 110. Miles Sanders went 201.
Miles Sanders, you're the man.
Well,
If
see,
you can-
so I've
yeah.
seen Miles Sanders be climbing the last probably 2 weeks. He's had a bit of a meteoric rise. Is that just because camp started and Doug Peterson keeps going, yeah, you the man, Miles, you the man?
Plus, they haven't signed anyone. Who have they signed at running back to compete with him?
True.
They've got Boston Scott.
I saw a bit of news coming out that they've also said that they're going to line him up in the slot on occasion.
Oh,
So-
PPR points.
Yeah, it could be crazy. They said they're looking to make defenses just have no idea what's going on, which is understandable.
But they also need to put
Right
him in the
then,
slot as they have no wide receivers.
Yeah,
They're all
that too.
injured or young.
Or old.
So then, for my pick, I am going to go Josh Jacobs. Reason why that is, I think Raiders are on for a fantastic season this season. I think Derek Carr has been underrated for a while, and I think this season he's coming out huge. Their new stadium in Las Vegas, I just think they're going to go big. So staying safe with Josh Jacobs.
So you rate him higher than Eckler, Drake, Chubb, Jones?
Yes, I do actually. Yeah, all of them. I think Chubb's got competition now with Kareem Hunt. I think Kenyon Drake, I was tempted by him. I think he's going to do fantastic at Arizona. And if I was number 10, probably would have looked, if I had a double pick, probably would have looked at him. But yeah, I think he is better than Eckler at the same time. But Eckler obviously doesn't agree after his Twitter rant, does he?
I think Josh Jacobs is going to explode this year, though, because the only thing that really kept him down last year was that he wasn't used that much in the passing game. But if you look at rookie running backs going into their sophomore year, that's the prime time for them to get more involved in getting the ball passed to them and getting those PPR points up. So yeah, if I had to bet on anyone just exploding into a second year, it would be him.
Now, I'm stuck in that I don't really like, as I just said, this middle of the second round running backs, because Austin Eckler's great, but he's really a wide receiver, not a running back. And Nick Chubb already took one concussion yesterday in practice. He took a concussion. He's not practicing today. And we know that concussions can suddenly compound very quickly.
Brandon Cooks.
Which means Brandon Cooks, that man's one concussion away from not playing again, really, isn't he? So, I've still got Julio Jones and DeAndre Hopkins on the board, as after Zebra's pick, Kenyon Drake and Tyreek Hill went at 203 and 204. But I'm going to try and load up on running backs, and I've not taken him in any real leagues this year, but I mean, he's probably going to be pretty big, isn't he? So let's take the Austin Eckler there. PPR monster.
Well, that means I've got to reach now.
You either have to reach or you can take a wide receiver. I mean, the person at pick 7 after me and before me coming back, they've gone double wide receiver to start. They're doing the patented 0.4 RB strat.
Yeah, they got Michael Thomas and Tyreek Hill though. It's a solid wide receiver 1-1 in my mind there.
Yeah,
so
that's a lot of points coming in every week.
I'm interested to see how the AI's team unfolds from that though. And the GOAT is on the clock. Who is he looking at? Is he trying to close up a wide receiver or cover his arse by choosing CH in the first round and back himself and get, Nick Chubb? You're a big Chubb fan, aren't you?
Love
GOAT.
Chubb. Love Chubb. Chubb play. but I think I just need to lock this badger up. It's
You're
a bit of a
drafting
reach,
Tyrann Matthew. Wow.
but I've gone for Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones.
Bit of a reach, but I had to get him.
That's close enough there. No one's going to turn their nose up if you're drafting Jones, Chubb, anyone there really, are they?
No.
Talk of the devil. After Aaron Jones, Julio Jones comes off the board. The Jones brothers. I mean, they're not brothers, but the Jones brothers coming off the board
The
there.
Jonesy boys.
And then the wonderful Chubley does come off next, leading us up to our guest's second pick of the draft.
I think at this spot I'm going to have to go for DeAndre Hopkins. He's unbelievable talent in what's going to be an amazing air raid offense with a lot of weapons, and he's going to get fed, hopefully.
You're not worried about the hamstring? He's set out 2 days of practice already.
I'm sure they're just resting him. Like when you have an elite talent like that, he doesn't really need to practice, does he? He can just turn up on the day and just smash it out.
And he has been remarkably reliable over his seasons in the league so far, so you can't see him suddenly doing a Will Fuller out of nowhere, can you?
But then did Deshaun Watson make Hopkins or Hopkins make Deshaun Watson? Is Kyler Murray in the air raid system as good as in Houston?
No, sorry.
He was
You
the
look at
only outlet.
You look at DeAndre Hopkins' catch percentage rate, and you just got to say that he's got the talent to be able to catch whatever's thrown at him, even if the throws are good. I still think he's a quality player.
Even if the throws are bad, like some of his one-handed catches are just insane. Like you look at that guy and you think that is not human. Like jumping into the air on the back of the defender, catching it with like 2 fingers is just unbelievable.
And sure, he's seen 150 targets a year in the past or whatever, and you could just chalk his production up to pure volume, but he's going into an air raid offense. I don't think people understand this. I would expect Arizona to be one of the most pass-heavy teams in the league this year. So it's not as if his volume's suddenly going to drop 30 targets in a year. He's going to have just as many opportunities as he had. And he's got, again, a sophomore QB, and we've seen some sophomore QBs make incredible steps forward in their second year.
And their rate of pace of play is just insane.
Yeah.
Like, it's the number 1 in the league, isn't it? Or was last year.
In terms of like no huddle, hurry up.
Mm.
Yeah. They're fast. It keeps cornerbacks guessing, keeps linebackers guessing. It's really good. Right then, Chiefy, you're back on the clock.
What is our chief going for?
By the way, sorry, we had Pat Mahomes go at 210, Travis Kelce at 301. So we're now back in pick 302.
Kelce in the third.
Look at that. Sorry, Kelce in the third, but look at his team. Christian McCaffrey, Patrick Mahomes, and Travis Kelce. I mean, he is loaded up on points there. That is filthy. I mean, that's an interesting strat, but yeah, go on, Chief. What have you chosen?
No, I was going to say, I'm not a big fan of going QB early. I mean, for example, last season, Lamar Jackson went in, the 9th round in our home league?
Yeah.
And I think there is gold to be found later on. I don't like going for it early when, we can find it later. I think I'm going to have to go for Chris Godwin.
Ooh, another wide receiver. I mean, that is, on my board, that was the best value you could get at that pick. So I do agree with you no end there, really.
I don't really understand why the only real strategies that are talked about are no RB or full RB. Like, let's meet in the middle. We've got a good RB and then just whack out some great wide receivers. Why not?
You and Tom want to get together and write a big old article for his patented 0.4 RB strat over on ZooHouseSports.com.
Yeah, it's a legit strat. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Instead. Unless they're playing you that week. Right,
we've had George Kittle and Lamar Jackson go after Chris Godwin, so we're now at 3:05 with the GOAT on the clock.
I was hoping Kittle was around then. If Kittle was there, I'd have taken him.
Yeah, I was half hope. I knew he wouldn't fall to me with you there, but I was thinking he'd fall a little bit further than that.
And now I'm honestly torn because I either have to reach for a wide receiver or continue my 0 wide receiver strat that I'm already started. So
I don't know, 3 of my next ranked picks are wide receivers. So there's plenty of wide receiver to be had at a reasonable amount of value here.
Okay, I'm going to have to lock this puppy in right now. I really like this. New York Jets, they suck. They've got no wide receivers, which means they're going to have to pass it to Le'Veon Bell, which is a bit of a reach halfway through the third. But he was drafted in the first last year, and to get him in the third is tremendous value. I think he got, on average, 20 points per game last year.
Mate, how much have you been drinking today?
It's New
20
England
points a
out here.
game. What?
I find that
Did you,
rather hard to believe.
Where did you get your stats from there? I
I
find it
just
very
made them
hard to
up.
believe.
I just made them up.
Did you see that Denzel Mims has been injured?
Yeah.
So, Perryman hype train.
Jameson Crowder.
Right, well, as I just alluded to, 3 of my next 3 picks that are left open on my big board are all wide receivers, so I have to just make the pick between the 3 of them. I had him last year. He did a lot of work for me, and I think he's showing no signs of slowing down. You know, this time next year we might be talking about him as a DeAndre Hopkins level of talent. I'm going to take my little speedster boy, Kenny Golladay.
You've been drinking.
Yeah.
DeAndre Hopkins' level of talent.
Mate, he was
What are you
he
trying
was
to blow up his-
sublime last year, was Kenny Golladay. And he was being thrown the ball by a backup for half the year.
You know, the Lions coach has recently said exactly the same thing as you, Bear. He came out and said that he wants Kenny Golladay to be up there with DeAndre Hopkins and all the other big names, Chris Godwin.
Yeah, I have to be honest, I did see that as well, and I think that's why it was in my brain. But yeah, I mean, that tells you that he's going to be
why
used
not?
and they're going to target him. So if he wants to
Matt
be up there with
Patricia.
DeAndre Hopkins, he needs to be up there and give him 150
That
targets like
offensive-
DeAndre Hopkins
That offensive
gets.
powerhouse. You just think, oh, Matt Patricia, that offensive genius, that guru who led the Detroit Lions to what pick did they have in the draft last year?
They didn't have Matthew Stafford for half the year. He got his spine shattered.
And did you see his stats for when they had him? He played unbelievably.
Yeah.
Oh, that went quick.
Right, sorry.
That went quickly.
After my pick, Mike Evans went, and Mike Evans was my next rated wide receiver, so I'm not surprised at that. Then we had James Conner, which for me, middle to middle end of the third is a hell of a reach at 308 for James Conner. There's a hell of a lot of unknowns there. Then Zebra, what did you pick at 309?
I went Chris Carson.
Instead
Seattle
of Todd-
Seahawks.
Instead of Todd or Melvin.
Yep. I'm big on Chris Carson this year. I don't think I've never been too keen on Todd Gurley, especially after drafting last year and bloody glassy ankles or knees. Sorry. So and between Chris Carson and Melvin Gordon, I think I have more faith in Chris Carson, to be quite honest.
Well, that's handy that Todd Gurley and Melvin Gordon went
So-
straight after your pick, so you're back on the clock at 402.
This is it, and for me, it's a very easy choice with Adam Thielen
Oof.
completing my wide receiver.
I like that.
As a Minnesota fan, you must like that lock-in as well.
I like that lock-in not only because it's a Minnesota player, but because I think his targets are going to go up, anywhere but up into the down. Justin Jefferson isn't going to come in and take as many targets as Diggs had, and I think that's only going to fall to Thielen. So I think he's going to get some good targets this year.
I wasn't looking at the picks that went after you. So 403, we had Leonard Fournette, and 404, we had David Johnson. And
D.
I
Johnson
was
strat.
so excited because I hadn't ticked off Leonard Fournette on my big board. And I was like, I get the man, because I think Fournette is going to be huge this year. He's going to see another 100 targets in the passing game. He's going to be given the ball every down they can give it to him. And all that's going to happen is you're going to see positive regression on his measly 3 touchdowns last year. He is going to be a top 6 running back this year, even though Jackson are going to be a steaming pile of a bottom waist. Right, well, that's annoying then, because I kind of wanted to go another running back there, but everything on my board currently is wide receiver value. I am going to make a slightly reachy pick here, but he looked so good in trading the other day with another giant leaping one-handed catch. I'm going to take OBJ.
Oh, you mother.
This is a risky one because you're relying on Baker taking a step back towards his rookie year form. But Beckham played hurt all last year, still looked pretty good, but you could see he was hurt. He's back on full health, so I mean, what corner realistically has a chance of stopping him?
Yeah, I'm going to follow your logic there in a wide receiver with a slight reach. Allen Robinson, you're looking at. Amari Cooper, you're looking at. But I think it's obvious in LA there's only 2 wide receiving options, and I'm locking in the cup of all options, Mr. Cooper.
At least you're consistent week to week, because we had an argument last week where I would take Robert Wood and you would take Cooper Kupp. So at least you're sticking to your guns there.
My name is Consistency. Along with a
407,
few others.
407 we had Alan Robinson go. 408 we had DJ Moore go. So we're seeing a big old run on tight ends there. We've had 5 tight ends in the last 8 picks. And that puts our guest Chief back on the clock at 409.
So, Chief, you have 1 running back, 2 wide receivers. Are you going safety and cover yourself with the running back?
I am. I'm going to do Tom's patented 0.4 running back tactic. So
Solid
I'm-
strap.
Yeah, I think it is. I'm looking at Jonathan Taylor and David Montgomery. I personally am more leaning towards David Montgomery. I really like Jonathan Taylor as a player, but we can't discount Marlon Mack, who has had a great season last year. He did some outstanding plays, and they've already said that he's going to be the starter in week 1, and we don't know how long it's going to take before Jonathan Taylor takes that starting role. He probably is going to, because he's an amazing player. But when you look at David Montgomery, it's so simple to see. He's going to get so many carries. He's going to get the same workload as he got last year, if not more. And I think he is a great player. So that is what I'm going to lock in.
Monty, off he goes. And funny you should talk about it. Calvin Ridley went at 410 and 501. Jonathan Taylor went to put you
That's
back on the clock
value
again.
for Calvin Ridley.
It is. It's not bad, is it? Although it does. He is having to compete opposite Julio. I know he still produces, and they're the most passing team in the NFL.
Second behind the air raid.
Is it? Okay, yeah.
I think so. But
And no
Dirk
Mohamed
Cotter-
Sanu now.
Yeah. True. He's gone
And
to
no,
Pats, hasn't
who was the Hooper, tight end?
he? Yeah, Hooper's gone as well. Yeah, so true. There's probably a lot of targets to go around in an offense that passes
But
that
Todd
much.
Gurley's going to eat a few of those if he plays.
I reckon he'll eat 80. I've projected him to eat 80 of those targets this year, Todd Gurley. 80 targets for 50 receptions.
So, Chief, if Jonathan Taylor had been available, would you have snapped him up? You're now on in the 5th round, the 2nd pick. You think you need to lock in another right running back? You can look at tight ends. Are you going to pick a QB up early?
I would have gone for Jonathan Taylor if he was still there, because just having 3 running backs, then you just set it and forget it. Like 3 guys that are going to get the work. But
Yeah.
I would be depressed if I didn't walk away with this person in all of my drafts, because I really enjoyed watching Tennessee last year. I think he's an amazing wide receiver. Everyone had a lot of trouble stopping him, and I can only see it getting better and better with Tannehill as quarterback, as long as he keeps doing what he's doing. So I'm going to have to take AJ Brown.
Boom. Nice. That's reasonably good
Brilliant
there as
value
well.
just falls to the GOAT. Tremendous value.
Right, before you get onto that, AJ Brown went at 502, Juju Smith-Schuster at 503, and Tyler Lockett at 504.
Or DK Metcalf.
Wow, I'm sure we'll get to discuss that, no matter how briefly, a little bit later on.
So I think this is an absolute no-brainer. And if he falls to me in the 5th, I'd snap him up all day. If you saw the training video with him and Gallup, Amari won every single one of the 50-50 balls. And Dak loves him. He's a former 1st-round pick. They traded a 1st for him, and they just gave him a megabucks contract. Absolutely tremendous value in the 5th to take my boy AC.
Yeah, that is fantastic value. I can't believe he's fallen all that way.
Yeah, I mean, I can't argue with that really there either. Which leaves me in an interesting position, because I fully believe there is a lot of wide receiver depth moving down, and I can't see a lot of running back value that I'd want to take at this stage of the draft, which makes this a pretty easy decision. He's been a PPR monster the last few years. Everyone worries about Dallas Goedert coming in and, kind of usurping some of that work, but I'm not buying into it. I'm going to use my 5th pick to secure a biggest luxury in fantasy football, which is a good tight end, and I'm going to take Zach Ertz.
Especially in the 5th. And after that, Robert Woods comes off in the 7th pick of the 5th, and then Devin Singletary in the 8th, which leaves Zebra with a tough choice. You've got 2 running backs, 2 elite wide receiver 1 targets. I think right now your team's, it's very balanced, it's very nice, but I think you need a bit of spice in there. Spice. What are you talking
Well,
about?
I'll give you some spice. I'm not going past this round without taking Mark Andrews.
Strong Spice. That's like Old
Do you know what?
Spice. It's young.
This is it. I'm covering my back. Maybe not the most exciting pick, but
You know
with
who's
the other
available
three
now?
tight ends off, I'm not risking it. So I also know who's available now. And my little
You've got to
chance.
after you traded
Terry
for him.
McLaurin is available.
Yeah.
Terry McLaurin is available.
You traded
Gonna go
QB3
off
last
this
year.
season.
I still can't get over
Look, it's
that.
really
It was
interesting.
QB2, wasn't it?
did
Dak finished QB2 and
No, QB
Russell finished QB3, didn't he?
No, Dak was
yeah.
QB3,
Yeah, that's
I
it.
think, behind Mahomes and Lamar.
Mahomes missed games. I thought he finished QB4. I don't know. Anyway, sorry, carry on.
No. It was Wilson and Dak were 2 and 3. I just don't know which way around they were. DK Metcalf is available. That is very tempting.
And he's built like a Greek god.
He is, but
Okay. DK, there's a guy in London here that would like to meet you and take you to his Mount Olympus.
I want to take him to the gym and be like, right, show me how. Thank you and please.
But you got to take your top off first when you meet him.
Yeah, but then he won't be able to stop laughing for 45 minutes. Sorry, Zebra. Crack on. After Mark Andrews, you had Mark Ingram at 5'10". 601 was T.Y. Hilton, which puts Zebra back on the clock.
back on the clock, and I'm going possibly for a random one, but I'm going to fill out my wide receiver slot with Keenan Allen.
I like this because you're taking Keenan Allen, so I don't have to these days. That's mighty kind of you.
Yeah, it was Keenan Allen or DK Metcalf, but I think Keenan Allen has been consistent over the last couple of years, and that's what I'm looking for right now, is a bit of consistency in the team.
Well, you
Now
mentioned
predict your
DK.
pick.
Bolster it up.
Now predict your pick, Bear.
Go on.
I think this is a dead cert right now for the Ream. You're going to Ream every single draft. You've looked at the Ream in the 6th.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm taking Kareem Hunt. Like, in what world at this position, when I've only got 2 running backs, am I not taking Kareem Hunt?
Yeah.
Nick Chubb already got a
It's solid.
concussion yesterday, shows that he can be hurt. I think that if Kareem Hunt ends up taking the RB1 role because Nick Chubb gets injured, I think that he would rate higher in an ADP than Nick Chubb currently is. So there is absolutely no reason that I am not taking Kareem Hunt here. He is coming onto my team. He is coming home. The other picks before me were DK Metcalf and Terry McLaurin. Kareem Hunt's a monster. He is just a monster.
I would go as far to say if Chubb went down, Kareem Hunt would be drafted at the end of the first. I could easily take Hunt over Mixon and Devontae Adams at the turn.
Stefanski loves the
I'm
running
not
game.
saying that Kareem Hunt is as good as Christian McCaffrey, but he essentially does everything that Christian McCaffrey does, right? He's a fantastic pass catching back, and he's shown with his time at Kansas that he does have the ability to run the ball efficiently as well.
So,
Just- Absolute league winning upside with Kareem Hunt there,
No.
especially in the 6th.
this is, again, just a stupidly easy pick for me. His quarterback wears jorts, and I can't see any other receiving option on this team. It's the DJ.
I was hoping he'd fall to me. I love a bit of DJ Chuck.
That was 606. 607, we have Ronald Jones go.
He's climbed.
He is climbing. He's slowly
I picked him up in
climbing.
the 8th.
As I've always said, though, I can't remember the last time that Tom Brady supported a high-ranking running back, but we'll see how that goes. And then 608 was Raheem Mostert to put Chief on the clock.
So I've got a lot of choice in front of me. There's DeAndre Swift, running back. There's Russell Wilson, quarterback.
Mhm.
There's Portland Sutton, wide receiver, and there's Darren Waller, tight end. There's a lot to choose from here. So I've got 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers. As much as my gut says I should go wide receiver, I do not trust DeAndre Swift because we've still got Kerryon Johnson there. They're working out together. They're running routes together. They're learning from each other. I cannot see him taking that much of a workhorse back role in that offense, especially in an offense that needs to throw to Kenny Golladay so much. So yeah, I'm gonna hop over all the way down to Mr. Darren Waller. I really like him as a tight end. He led the offense, and they've said that they're going to keep him going with it. So
He was
why not?
tremendous in PPR last.
So that would mean that Goat, you are the only person to have not secured one of the top 5 tight ends this year. So I hope you got a plan.
Yep, I've got a plan. It's called Zero Tight End Strike. I'll talk you through it.
Zero tight end, stream it all the way.
Yeah, it's
Keep
called,
it going.
It's just wait till someone converts to tight end.
6-10, we had Dondre Swift go. 7-1, we had Will Fuller. I love that Will Fuller pick up in the 7th. He's going to be the best decision you make for 8 games this season, is Will Fuller. And that's just what it is. Draft him full well knowing if you get more than 8 games out of him, you've done bloody well. But he's going to fill a hell of a lot of those game-to-game targets that DeAndre Hopkins has vacated. And he's shown that he's good in the past. So he's the best 8-game decision you'll make.
He's even admitted himself that I think he tweeted or something that as long as he stays healthy, he says he is going to ball out. Which, it's quite nice. As a player, he admits that he is injury prone. Just hopefully he can avoid it.
Yeah.
I believe in him. I wouldn't mind having him on my team.
So you would wait until 7th round as a good pick for you there, Rich, for Will Fuller, or do you think they've reached for him a little bit there as the snakes won't come back around?
No, it's good value in the 7th. I wouldn't take him before the 7th because, as you say, there's too much risk there. You need to kind of fill out your 5 starting skill positions. Before you do that, you need your 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and your flex that you can almost plug and play week to week, and then you can start taking your flyers on people like Will Fuller, which is the joy of being at that end of the draft, I guess.
So I now have to make another decision. So Russell Wilson's still there, so it's Courtland Sutton, and then there's Dak Prescott and Cam Akers staring down at me. At this point, I thought I would reach for AJ Green, but I swear that he's recently had some injury come up in the news. I didn't quite read it because I just didn't have the heart to. It's just
I think they're precautionarily removed him yesterday and arresting him today, I think is what I saw. So that's Monday he got precautionarily taken off the training field, and I think Tuesday they're arresting him. So we'll know more by the time this comes out, but we don't know at the minute.
So that hype train is kind of dead for me now. So I'm gonna pick someone that I haven't picked yet because all of my drafts up until this point have been late at the end, so this guy's never been around for me. I'm gonna go with Mr. Cam Akers.
Nice. We talked about him a little bit last week. If he can break through that running back by committee, then it's going to be pretty tasty. But we have to remember that Darrell Henderson was a 1st-round pick last year by the Rams, so he's got a lot to break through. But
I'm prepared to stash him and wait until he wins, really.
Until it breaks out.
After Cam Akers at 7-2, the GOAT is absolutely furious because at 7-3, Dak Prescott went.
Dak in the 7th, that'd have been the easiest no-brainer. But I think, again, I don't like to stack up on wide receivers, but I'm looking at the Courtland, and I'm thinking, worth, talk to me, Courtland.
Great value, Dan.
Whisper in my ear, and he whispers, but I can't hear him because I'm going K1 all day long.
Lock him in. There we go.
Lock him in, don't have to worry.
The odd switch and bait. Which is fine for me because I think that Drew Lock is going to be the league MVP this year because of the whole Joe Flacco coincidence. We've seen him produce multiple MVPs as he steps out late in the year. Well, I say multiple. We've seen him produce one. He's going to be multiple after Drew Lock takes it. So I am personally more than happy to take the man who was all over the field catching every ball he could last year. I would take Courtland Sutton there. It's great value. I have him ranked as 48th overall. So for me, that is crazy value to get him at pick 66 or something like that.
He is a hell of a talent.
He's a very good player. We have Russell Wilson go at 707, which is kind of crazy.
66,
James White go at 7-8. I do love James White. Mr. Consistent. He's saved me a lot when I took the big old Leonard Fournette and Melvin Gordon risk last year. So yeah. Good little player. Zebra is back on the clock with pick 9 in the 7th round.
Can I just ask, do you guys expect James White's ADP to rise now that Miller has also been put on the PUP list?
He's been put on the PUP list as advisory. he's not going to be out for the season. I hope.
No, he might miss. He might miss a game or two. The difficulty with James White, he's had a bunch of kind of top 15, top 20 wide receiver running back finishes over the past few years, but his ADP has never kind of seemed to reflect that, and I think he's one of the most slept on people in fantasy purely because he doesn't put out those flashy, 40-point week-to-week numbers, but the fact that he's going to score you between 10 and 16 points every week is just so awesome if you want to guarantee that you make it to your playoffs. Zebra, what'd you take at 7-9?
So, I kind of went for safety. My mind, kind of the QBs flying off the shelf there, so I wanted to grab myself a good one before they all went, and kind of had to risk it with someone else, even though there are still a lot of good options on there. I don't want to get round to the snake and be left with someone like Drew Lock. Haha.
Mate, you'd be lucky to have Drew Lock.
I went Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson, even though he doesn't have DeAndre Hopkins there anymore, I still think he's going to produce some solid points. Maybe not the breakout QB, but still happy to have him on my team. Now I need to figure out exactly who's out there in terms of.
So whilst you're figuring that out, Rob Gronkowski went at 7-10, Hollywood Brown at 8-1.
Gronk's climbing.
This is what I'm saying. So if you miss out on the top 5 tight ends, who are you guys taking as the 6th best tight end if you were to take the 6th tight end off the board?
Gronk or Ingram? Has to be.
Chiefy?
I think that's a really good question. I'm worried about Ingram because I think he's kind of the same situation as you have with Will Fuller. You know that in 7-8 games you're going to get a great tight end, but he's going to get injured. So I think if you have the depth in your squad and you don't mind going for like a later tight end as well, maybe like a Noah Fant or a Mike Gesicki, then I would go for Evan Ingram, knowing that I have that backup. But yeah, I think it all comes down to a team, really.
Ooh, solid. I like that.
Nice.
It's small reach, but I really like that one.
Talk us through it, Matt.
Small reach. So I needed to secure another running back, and it really was between J.K. Dobbins and Marlon Mack. But I think at the moment people are underestimating Marlon Mack in the ADP anyway, and I think he's coming off a fantastic season, and I think he's gonna produce it again, especially with competition from Jonathan Taylor there. So I'm hoping that encourages him to be able to put the effort back in and produce again. I think he's gonna have a good season, and especially just to have him in my back pocket to support Chris Carson and Josh Jacobs. I think that's quite a nice pickup there. Maybe
I think
reaching,
as well with Jonathan Taylor, all it takes is for him to do something wrong. Because NFL is, very, very competitive, stepping up from college play. So if he can't block, like we saw with Ronald Jones, like he might end up getting benched, and Marlon Mack might end up taking the majority of the snaps. Like I think Marlon Mack in the 8th is a great value pick.
Yeah.
I'm now stuck between: do I take the world's most reliable wide receiver 2? Or one of the world's most reliable wide receiver
Brandon
twos.
Cooks.
No. I'm thinking about Jarvis Landry. Or do I take a shot on a Dolphins player in the form of Devontae Parker?
Oh, Devontae Parker. Well,
because there's no QB or running back that I want to.
Do you think Tua is going to come there? Yeah, but do you think Tua is going to make a big enough impact for Devontae? That's the question.
I don't know if Tua's going to even
straight away and make that impact.
That's my problem. I don't know if he's even going to start this year. Well, I've got Kenny Golladay, OBJ, I think both of them, and Cortland Sutton. So I've potentially got 3 wide receiver 1s knocking about there on my team already. I mean, borderline, but potentially.
Rich, speaking of wide receivers, have you seen Team 7? It's already stacked out 5 wide receiver 1s potentially.
This is the opposite of our money league.
Jeez.
I'm going to take Jarvis Landry because as we start getting to these later rounds, it's probably healthy for us to start speeding this up. So we've got time to play our game at the end of tonight's show. Jarvis Landry, he's just Mr. Consistency. He's always going to score you enough points to finish around that RB20 region, and I'm fine with it. After me, Julian Edelman went. He was another one I was toying with because he's just, he's a PPR machine.
New
Absolutely
England
love him.
legend.
Yeah.
Won us multiple Super Bowls. He should have been taken off the field when we beat the Falcons, and that catch that somehow happened, for that, I love him. He's the greatest player of all time.
Then Devontae Parker goes at 8-7. Brandon Cooks goes at 8-8. So it's almost like we can all predict the future, which means, Chiefy, you are back on the clock with the 9th pick in the 8th round. Let's get cooking.
Yeah, I'm going to take a fantastic player. The coach recently came out and said that he expects Michael Gallup to also be a wide receiver 1. So they clearly believe in him and his potential. I bet he can work alongside Amari Cooper and achieve great things.
Ooh,
I mean,
wow.
he put up 1,000 yards last year, and he's going in the end of the 8th round.
Yeah.
That's a bargain.
I think it's a great
There's
pickup.
nothing you
Great
can
fight.
turn your nose up there. Love that, especially if anything happens to Cooper as well.
Witten's targets are gone. Witten's targets. Everyone's expecting Jarwin to step up, but I just want to talk about Team 1. He really loves his Dolphins players. He's cornering the running back Dolphins market.
I'm sad to say my heart is broken because I really wanted Matt Breida on the turn.
Oh, yeah.
What is your belief in Matt Breida this season? You've said it to me a couple of times now, and I've still got him rated as like RB43, 121st overall. I just can't see it happening. Neither of those running backs doing much this year.
Well, the Dolphins have spent a lot during the off season, and they've really improved their team in a load of different ways. And if we look at last season, they get game scripted out of running the ball so much, and everyone knows that Jordan Howard can't catch the ball, whereas Matt Breida, I think he was recorded as the fastest running player with the ball in his hand. I think he got to like 27 miles per hour or something.
Nice.
Absolutely insane.
Jeez.
So he was the fastest recorded player, and everyone's going to expect that Ryan Fitzpatrick's going to throw to Devontae Parker. So we're going to have Matt Breida in a ton of space, stretched field, looking for the Hail Mary, and he's just going to sprint up the field and maybe get a couple of 70-yard touchdowns.
You can't do any better than any worse than Ballage did last year. If you remember the famous check down and Ballage just ducks. Like, as long as he doesn't do that, he's all right.
As long as he's not scared of the ball, he'll be all right. Right, you're back on the clock, 9:02.
So that's kind of thrown me through a loop. So I think I will have to go for.
Was he going to lock in a QB? Are you gonna go for the other Drew, the actual MVP Hall of Famer Drew, who is a good player?
I'm going to keep going with RBs and lock in Antonio Gibson.
Ooh, so you think he's going to pick up the workload over there?
Yeah, he's an unbelievable player. Like if you look at his college videos, he's so good. And yes, Washington is a bad team, but if we look at, for example, Saquon Barkley and the Giants, the Giants aren't a great team, and yet he can still get the job done. He can still get the PPR points and run the ball.
Slight difference in talent. Saquon was generational. He is the Barry Sanders of the modern game.
True, but I believe that Antonio he's not going to be up there, but he's enough to get in the night.
Later, so
yeah. Tyler Boyd went
doesn't have guys to
9-3,
compete
Evan
with either.
9-4. Tom, your tight end of the week is Hayden Hurst. Then you didn't fancy Tyler Higbee, Hunter Henry?
No, I spoke to Tyler the other day.
Did you? I know you and Tyler are tight.
on the gram, he slid into my DMs. He was like, "Look, I've got a fancy draft. Who should I pick?" And I went, "I wouldn't pick yourself, mate." And he didn't seem to take it too well, so I've stayed away from him.
I wouldn't pick myself, mate.
That is a legit story.
9-6. I've gone with Josh Allen. I was tempted to wait until the 10th, but it was getting real close to where I value him there. I think he's a Kyler Murray / Lamar Jackson light. But the rushing gives him such a safe floor week to week. You know, he's going to rush 4 or 5 touchdowns this year. You can put your house on that. And as a 9th round quarterback, I don't think he's going to see a massive drop off versus someone like, say, Deshaun Watson. So I'm pretty happy with that. After me, we had Deebo Samuel and Matt Ryan go. So 9-9. We have 9-9. We have Daft Zero. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to figure out what I feel like I've got quite a balanced sheet at the moment. 3 wide receivers, 3 running backs, tight end, QB, So it's really filling out the value that I can get out of this. High
speed drafting in the 9th round. This is where the value is really added, Matt. Forget the previous 8 rounds. It's all on the 9th now. Serious value. I don't think the 9th round pick even matters. I mean, it's just a throwaway pick.
There you go. I mean, you can literally look at anything you want right now. I mean, I wouldn't take another quarterback or a tight end at this stage, but either running back or wide receiver that's on the board.
Ooh.
Philip Lindsay, nice. I have heard rumours that people think he's still going to maintain a fair chunk of work out there in Denver.
He's been practicing with the ones along with my boy Melvin G3.
Yeah. We see Drew Brees come off the board, Tariq Cohen come off the board, which puts Zebra back on the clock. And then while I'm deciding on my pick, he can talk us through Philip Lindsay in his 10th.
Oh,
this is an easy pickup, Zebra. Easy, mate. You're looking at the old man.
Do you
in
know what, I'm. This is a little easy for me. I think I'm going to go for my first reach of the rounds on a
Take a defense. I'm kicking you out.
Newbie, but let's go for it. Let's have some faith. CD Lamb.
Do you know his brother,
CD Lamb.
MP3 Pig?
If he can do anything.
Also,
Deontay Johnson comes off the board. Tevin Coleman comes off the board, which puts me back on the clock. If we just ignore the joke, then he won't do more of them. It's fine. God, I'm still sitting pretty over here. I'd quite like another running back, but there's not much that I can see of value around here. I mean, you could take a shot on Sean Vaughan, but nobody really wants to touch that. Sony Michel has been hot trash the last few years. Latavius Murray, you're taking a handcuff at that stage. Kerryon Johnson, kind of ditto, really. So I am going to take another wide receiver. I think he's great value here, and he did a lot last time. And it's almost a kind of handcuff, right? So I'm taking Marvin Jones. One of them in Detroit is always going to be the hot hand. As long as I play the right hot hand, then I get loads and loads and loads of points.
So my boy Tyler's left, and do I want to stack on double tight ends? Unfortunately, in this format, I can't run double tight end plays like the Rams do. But I think it's going to be a small reach, and I don't know how I feel about this reach. But after seeing him work out, he's coming back healthy. I'm going for my boy Kerryon, who's getting drafted in the 3rd last year, and to get him in the 10th, I don't think DeAndre Swift will beat him out that quick.
Especially with no preseason.
Yeah. Kerryon was working out with the ones in practice, and he's looking good. He's come back healthy. He's had almost an entire season off. Called Kerryon, which I quite like.
Then we see Mecole Hardman, who's another one of your specials, Tom. I know you like to take him late in the...
10th's way too early.
10th is a bit early for him, for me. Yeah, I'd like
in
maybe
that offense,
like 3 rounds later, I'd take a shot at him. But
3 rounds there, bargain.
Alexander Mattison, so who I think is the
handcuff.
highest powered handcuff in the league, comes off the board to put Chief back on the clock at 10-9.
I personally think that the player I'm going to draft is very underrated. Emmanuel Sanders.
Well, can't wait to hear your reason.
Emmanuel Sanders is a fantastic wide receiver. He did great last season, and now he's in an electric offense. Not every ball can go to Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas is going to get doubled and tripled, and everyone's going to be jumping all over him, which is going to leave Emmanuel Sanders free to pick up all of the wide receiver 2 goals. So I'm more than happy to pick him up in the 10th.
But Michael Thomas wasn't double, triple, quad, whatever it is, teamed. You could put all the cornerbacks and defensive backs and safeties on him, but he still managed to... You can't guard him. He tells you himself.
Insane.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. He's a crybaby, but he's a very good player.
Right, so we see Latavius Murray go at 10-10, Tyler Higbee at 11-1, which means we're now finally into the final third of our draft. So, Chief, back on the clock, 11-2. What are we saying? What are we taking?
I echo Matt's sentiment from early in the podcast. I'm going to go with Henry Ruggs. I really like the Raiders this year.
You are waiting mighty late on the old quarterback.
That is a very good pickup, Chief. He's been played in a lot of different sets. In the Raiders, I was reading the beat writer out of Las Vegas, and Ruggs has been played all over the shop. They're playing him in the slot. They're playing him out wide. They've actually had some screen plays for him because he's so quick. They just think he's amazing, which makes his choice even easier now. You get rid of Ruggs. I was torn, and it's my boy in the 11th, which is phenomenal because between the 20s, he's a dream machine in PPR.
James Crowder.
Absolute dreamboat. I love you, Jameson. You're my hero.
Jameson Crowder is your boy.
Do you know what, though? I think
without a doubt.
When we get to around this stage, I think in the drafts nowadays, there's such a talented rookie class coming out this year. I think it's actually just as exciting as the first few rounds. You know, you're looking at from 10 onwards, maybe earlier than that, and it's do you wait, do you not, and pick up these rookies who could explode and have a fantastic season.
All this is currently proving to me at the minute is that I need to take running backs earlier, because I'm sitting here thinking I'd really love to take another running back right now, but I just can't find any value that I want to take. But we are in the 11th, so this is the stage, especially when I've got Marvin Jones, Jarvis Landry, Cortland Sutton, OBJ, and Kenny Golladay. I can really take myself a little flyer here, so I'm going to take myself a cheeky rookie in the form of Jerry Jeudy.
Oh, you... Yeah, solid.
I've got Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Marvin
options.
Jones, Kenny Golladay. I believe in the wide receivers from both those teams. I think they can do some work. So let's...
Yeah, you've got the Browns, the Lions, and the Broncos. You've locked up 3 teams' wide receiving options.
I know it is. I am a little bit worried by it. I have 3 Browns players.
Right, yeah,
it's just, you know what? This is bonkers. I've not drafted from 6 in a very long time, and it's bizarre the players that have fallen to me. And it kind of shows, I guess, which teams I think are going to do something this year.
The Zebra following hot on the tails of the Bear. Who are you looking at? Do you want to lock up another Dallas receiver if you really want to, or another Denver running back? Royce Freeman is still on the board. And so is Devontae Booker. Royce Freeman, you've liked him every year. Who are you looking at?
No, I'm gonna. I don't know if I would do this in a real draft, but I'm once again gonna put my. No, I don't know. That's risky. Fuck it. We're gonna go for it. We're going to back Minnesota Vikings and go Justin Jefferson.
Oh, you wee bastards. Someone takes the San Fran 49ers defense, which is upsetting. Justin Jefferson, there we go. Justin Jets coming off the board. I'm liking this. I'm liking this level of kind of wide receiver rookie faith that everyone's having. Deshaun Jackson, him and his Zimmer frame have now been taken off the board, which means, Zebra, you're back on. Oh, with the Steelers. Yep. Right, okay. Well, I am doing a 0 defense draft, this draft then, because if I'm not getting the 49ers or the Steelers, I am streaming defenses all year, so that is fine by me. Let's take some fun then. What fun have we got left on the board? What do I...
But Justin Jefferson was a great reach. Actually, it's silly that he's fallen to the end of the 11th. I think anything happens to Thielen. He's never played a full season in the last year. And you know what? I think JJ comes out of LSU. Quality. Do you see his hands? Because Kirk Cousins can't throw very well. That's a fact. The Minnesota Viking fans put it out there saying, watch me catch a ball from Kirk Cousins. And they all hilariously spoofed it by just it going miles over their head.
I'm lost now. We've you know what? I know who I'm going to take. Someone who's probably like a Kareem Hunt light, and I need another running back. And it's PPR, so I'm going to take Duke Johnson. We know he's a great pass-catching back. If it turns out that the other D Johnson is as washed up as it looked like he might be last year, then all of a sudden you've got an RB1 on your hands with that, and I'm kind of all right with that risk. Jalen Reagor from you there, Goat. We covered him extensively last week with the Marquise Goodwin opt-out. He is just going to be a target monster this year. I think he's going to have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, there's a few Eagles, but they drafted him in the first. And going into that, really, you've got JJ Arcetta-Whiteside. You've maybe got Ward stepping up. Maybe Sanders in the slot. Maybe some tight end plays. But realistically, in the end zone, Reagor's really, his catch dominator rating is impressive. His stats are impressive. I think he'll ball out with Wentz. Yeah, week 1.
I like it. We've had Zach Moss, Chase Edmonds go. Chase Edmonds, I guess, is all right that late in the 12th. You're back on the clock, Chief. What are we taking as we close out the draft?
It's an easy choice for me here. I'm going to go quarterback, and I'm going to go for the electric Matthew Stafford. Last year, before he got injured, he was on average for an unbelievable season. He played 8 games, got 19 touchdowns, and 2,500 yards. If he'd have played the whole season, we're talking 40 TDs, over 5,000 yards. If he can stay healthy, he's an amazing quarterback.
And my two wide receivers are taking all of that work.
We can team up.
He has a sixth sense for this, and I really like the Haley Joel Osment that's grown up to be Matthew Stafford. Have you ever seen them together in the same place?
No.
Well,
Right, 13th round. Chief is back on the
That's
clock.
him.
Christian Kirk and Buffalo Bills DST gone. Who we got in the 13th, Chief?
I am thinking that I'm going to do a small reach, just because I really hope he's got his fumbling solved. I had him last year, and I really enjoyed watching Daniel Jones. He loves to sling it. The only issue is he can't hold on to the ball. If he sorted that out, then we're going to see some big points, because the Giants have got a terrible defense, and he just has to throw it as much as possible.
I think you've got a great little strategy there. Wait until the 12th for a quarterback, and then when you're right at the end of the snake, just take 12th and 13th round quarterbacks. There you go. Boom. Locked up, sorted for the season.
It's nice new tactic. I like that.
Tom,
Also,
why did you have to take Cam Newton? That was genuinely going to be my next pick. That is literally ruined my
As
game.
a passionate Patriot, as a patriotic Patriots fan, I've got Julian Edelman, Cam Newton. There you go. That's 1 and 2 locked up.
Wonderful.
Well,
Well done, you.
11.
I'm so happy for you. I hope it all works out great.
I hope so too. We lost Brady and we got a better quarterback.
All right, well, I'm going to take a quarterback then for a laugh. I've been banging on about him, and why not just take even more players from the same team so my bye weeks are horrendous? I'm going to take Drew Lock. Anyone watching this or listening to this, I've slipped up here, and it's something I've actually never slipped up to do. Do not draft as many players from the same teams as I have, because there's going to be 3 weeks in the middle of the season where you're guaranteed a loss because you're losing half your team.
Your bye weeks.
I know, it's going to be brutal.
Well, week 8, you're in a real pickle here, I think.
Week 8, week 9.
Yeah.
That's only a
you're gonna
couple of
have
weeks,
some
actually. I actually don't mind that too much, because if you've got faith in the players, it's 2 weeks that you write off, but then you've got your full
week
strength
9,
squad
you've
back.
lost Hunt, ODBJ, Ertz,
Oh,
and
mother.
Landry.
Are you upset at Sammy Watkins or Justin Tucker going there, Matt?
Yeah, Sammy Watkins, actually. I think Sammy Watkins is falling so low in the draft, and he's going to be considerable value. Picking him up on the 13, 14, 15, I think he's going to be considerable value this season. Really, really, really do.
So
I'm upset that he's gone.
You took Big Ben at 13-9.
Solid.
Big Ben's coming back
Big
for a
Ben's
solid season.
coming back. He apparently enjoyed some gentleman time a lot in the off-season, and that's why his arm is so strong right now. But the internet will tell you more about that if you Google it.
I thought it was just him trying to shave off his beard that he had to get rid of.
Yeah, that's apparently not what he's been saying on the
all of his
internet.
strength.
So we'll see how that goes. The Bears'
Doing
defense is
kickers.
gone. A bunch of kickers. I don't care. I wish we deleted the kicker slot in our league. It's absolutely pointless. I am going to take a tight end here. I mean, I randomly generate what tight ends I take between about 3 of them, but I haven't done it in a while, so let's take Blake Jarwin for a giggle. There's so many targets to go there. He's signed a massive deal. I can't see any reason he's not going to do at least something. At the very least, he is a bye-week fill-in for me in week 9 when Zach Ertz is out, so sorted. And if he does go off, then he's great trade capital.
I'm looking for a defense now, and instead of looking at the actual defense of the team, I'm going to look at who Washington are playing, because their offense is just trash. So I'll be drafting the Eagles. They step up on the 13th.
Nice.
Oh, that Alan Lazard pick. I'll tell you, that team 1 has picked a very nice team, I think. Alan Lazard in the 15th round for the Green Bay's second wide receiver. Now Funchess opted out. Ironically, no fun Funchess. But Alan Lazard, you should have seen some of the throws Rodgers was throwing to him in practice. Devontae, I think you saw the famous video where he counts the 3 defensive backs on him. Alan Lazard in the 15th. Tremendous value. Well done, auto draft number 1. Great play.
Yeah, but you say this. I mean, look at his wide receivers. He's got Calvin Ridley, which we're at great value in the 410, and then he jumps all the way to the 7th. Will Fuller, okay, 8 games sorted, and then Christian Kirk in the 12th pick. That's all of his wide receivers. He's got a bit of
I
a
think
gap
in
there.
7 will be doing some
And
trading.
also, he's got some reliability in Jonathan Taylor, DeAndre Swift, and then he's going Matt Breida and Jordan Howard. I think he's playing a very risky game, actually.
Well, look
Risk
at
it
pick
for a
4.
chocolate
He's got
biscuit.
Derrick Henry and Rojo. That's his only real running backs.
Oh, there we go. Chiefy, you finished out the draft with?
Yeah, I went for Kami Fairburn. I know that you hate the kicker position, and it is really nice in our other league, in our money league, not needing to draft a kicker. But I think there is a very slight amount of tactics there, and it's looking at teams that can get towards the red zone, but they can't finish it. And I think Houston is a famous team for that. They had trouble actually finishing off their touchdowns. Deshaun Watson really likes moving the ball, but struggles actually getting it there without DeAndre Hopkins now. I see them getting up the field with Will Fuller, but just not being able to finish off. A lot of kicker points.
Tom, talk us through your stupid last pick.
Well, my previous pick was Zane Gonzalez, kicker, 14th round. Same reason for Chief. I think Air Raid will move it, but I don't think they'll always pump it in. So my last pick is I chose a team of old men, and the reason for that is I don't think the defense will be on the field that often because they've got a bunch of old men in the offense, and the games will take so long that teams will just quit. I'll boredom.
So I have taken a true flyer with the last pick, Russell Gage. I am betting that Hayden Hurst doesn't turn out to be as good as everyone thinks he is. There's going to be a lot of short receptions to go around in that offense. If you go to zoohoursports.com and check out my vacated targets article, I go in a lot of depth why I think Russell Gage is potentially on for 100 plus targets this year. And if that pans out, he's going to be the best 15th round decision you make.
Oh, Austin Hooper in the 15th.
Austin Hooper in the 15th. Great pick. An absolute
and Brandon Ayuk.
Athletic
that
unit.
Is tremendous value as well.
Right, cool.
Okay.
We are terrible at working out how long a mock is going to take us, so we won't talk through.
Yeah, we do, don't we?
Yeah, so I will let you shuffle us on, Matt, to our last little bit. So we've got a little bit of fun for everyone at the end, but we will put these teams up on our socials. We'll run polls and stuff, and we'll, I don't know, maybe do a little tournament to see who everyone thinks has got the best. Me, I win all of them because I am the best.
Really?
Right, well, anyway, moving on from the mock draft, as Bear said, we will let you review that for yourself, but please do post comments on who you think the winner of this mock draft is. If it starts with the letter Z, then happy days. Anyway, on to our new game, heads
What, you mean
to
all
heads.
of us, Zoo House?
Now, that's a very good point. But our new game, head to heads. So essentially, what we are going to look at, like last time we looked at the three people on, what was it called? It was
Reach, Fade, Avoid.
Reach, Fade, Avoid. This time we're going to have a look at the people on the same team and figure out where your value is going to come from. I know we've spoken about this before, for example, Cup and Woods, and we got a split down in the Zoo House team between Bear and Goat, between who's going to be the wide receiver one there. So let's start off with our first duo. From the Seahawks, it's Lockett and Metcalf. Now, I'd love to start on this one. Personally, I'm just going to put it straight out there. I think Lockett is going to win this all day, every day. Metcalf is great, but I don't think he's really going to take away the targets that Lockett has. He's got that relationship with Russell Wilson. I'm really happy that Lockett is even playing this season. Apparently, in 2015, when he got brought onto the NFL, he found out that he had a heart abnormality, so he almost opted out this season due to COVID, but decided to play anyway, move on. So yeah, I just want to hear your thoughts. I'm totally on Lockett, but what do you guys think?
I am on your side as well, Matt. I think that there's a lot of people kind of bashing Lockett and moving him down in ADP, and I don't really understand why. Because if we look at his stats over the last few years, his targets have gone. They were very, very steady at around 70 targets until last year, where he got 110 targets for 82 receptions and over 1,000 yards. And yeah, I think that there is a world where both of them can coexist together and both put up phenomenal numbers, but it doesn't come down to the actual wide receivers head to head. It comes down to whether Russ is going to cook or not. If he can start lighten it up and throw in deep and all that kind of thing, then we can see two great wide receivers here. But if they continue running the ball over and over again with Carson and is it Hyde now?
Hyde, yeah, ground and pound, isn't it?
Yeah, then we're going to see them vulture from each other, sadly.
You know how we called Derek Carr beige? He is the most beige quarterback. Tyler Lockett, for me, is the most beige wide receiver out there. And for that reason, I would much rather take Metcalf. Plus, there's been lots of videos of Russ and DK kind of working out together a lot when they were meant to not be working out, thanks to COVID. And I don't know, sometimes you can get Metcalf pretty late in drafts now, and it's fun sometimes to take a punt on a player where you're going to be sitting there all Sunday evening going, come on, one play is all I need. Let's go. Because he's going to pull off a 50-yard touchdown or something at some point.
This is the difference. You're going for excitement, a bit of risk, and a bit of play behind it. Whereas I think you're right with Lockett. You're locking in for a safety. Just look at his catch rate last year was 74.5%. That's the second highest in the NFL behind Michael Thomas. Year before that, 81.4%. With this sort of stuff.
The goat, for those watching along on YouTube, is so upset by this, he physically removed his headset and put his head in his hands.
I can't listen to this poppycock. It's DK Metcalf all day, every day.
I can't have this. Don't do this to me.
I'm sorry. You might as well now. Lockett's the better route runner, Metcalf's the better in fantasy, no doubt. I
think it comes down to how your team looks, though, because if you've already secured a really safe wide receiver like a Julio Jones, then by all means, I'm more than happy to take a punt on a Metcalf who could have a terrific high ceiling. But if you've gone RB heavy, you need someone who's going to get you the PPR points every week. I'm going to be going Lockett.
Safe doesn't win you ships. Safe does not win you ships. You did that with CJ Anderson. Okay?
Didn't he win a ship?
Yep.
But the trouble is, if you go for a lot of high volatility players, then they can often end up cancelling each other out. You need some safe bets and then some ones that can pop off.
Go big or go home. It sounds like you're going to the safety home. That sounds
right.
Wrong.
Then to wrap this off, then first of all, let's just congratulate Seahawks for picking up a fantastic pick, 64th pick. Managed to get Metcalf last season, and who knows, he may even do better than Lockett this season. But personally, I don't believe that's right, even if he is only one position in the ADP behind Lockett. So we are split, I think. We've got Chief and myself down for Lockett and the GOAT, and the Bear for Metcalf. So we shall write these down and figure out who wins at the end of this season. And so now, this is what I want to see. You got Tom Brady moving over to the Buccaneers. Now, we have Evans and Godwin. I want to start with our Buccaneers senior man, the Bear. Please talk me through who you would pick. Once again, I love the fact that they're right behind each other in ADP. Who are you going to take?
I will take Godwin, but it's not because, like many other haters out there, I believe that Tom Brady's arm has gone and he can't support Evans. I will take Godwin because it's been shown time and time again that if Brady wants a check down, he's going to check down, right? Julian Edelman was a PPR monster for as long as Brady was at the Patriots. It's a slightly different system, but we saw Godwin get fed last year and he actually finished higher than Evans. And I don't see any reason for that trend to change. If anything, they're going to be throwing fewer deep balls, so the slot receiver is going to be getting more and more work. I still think Evans is going to be superb. I think both of them will finish as good. Evans probably slightly better than he did last year because we saw what Brady did for that one game that he had Antonio Brown. But I don't see why you would, in PPR, I don't see why you wouldn't take Godwin.
Okay, so I've been looking at the stats on this, and Evans last year managed to get an 1,000 yards season again for the 6th year in a row. That's only been matched by Randy Moss. Yeah. That's only been matched by Randy Moss. So why would you not go with someone who's consistently giving you 1,000+ season in receiving yards?
Fantasy isn't all about talent, unfortunately.
It's about opportunity.
Because
now,
Tom Brady has so much talent, but in fantasy was never that viable.
Yeah.
That one of you, Tom or Chief, will probably feed off of this. The only concern I have with Godwin is Brady's undeniable link with Gronkowski, and quite often your tight end and your slot targets can become interchangeable. So there is a chance that Gronk, if he does go off this year and stays healthy all year, is potentially going to be vulturing targets from Godwin.
Definitely. I mean, we saw the same thing with the Raiders last year. They got so attached to Darren Waller that all of the other wide receivers pretty much became non-existent. You couldn't play a Raiders wide receiver because pretty much all of the targets that were meant anything went to the Walrus. And I can't imagine that would happen when you have two elite players such as Godwin and Evans as much, but I don't think there will be as much to go around, especially when you don't have Jameis Winston throwing the ball and they need to come back from behind so much. Brady is a great NFL player. I don't think he's as much of a fantasy points giver.
And Tom, closing out, what do we have, Goat?
Do you know what? I'm going Evans. I think we saw with Randy Moss, the Patriots, previous years, that Randy Moss and Brady had their best ever season. I think it was 2011 or 2010. He threw deep. He threw it. Evans is a better player than Godwin. I think Brady is a better quarterback than someone who's considered legally blind and couldn't stop touching people in Ubers. Brady's never done that. He's reporting in good shape. And I really like how he was working out with Evans in the off-season. He's already built up a rapport on a gel. I know he's working with Godwin. But yeah, I'm going to split it and go Mike Evans.
Nice. Like it.
Good. We arrived at no decision. That's pretty standard for us.
We're really helping. We're really helping everyone here. Right. I'm hoping that the next one that I choose is going to be an easier decision for everyone, and that is following to something we touched upon in our mock draft, and it's the Hunt versus the Chubb. Now, I'm going to go to you as a big Chubb fan. Do you think he's going to be able to retain his position, or is Hunt going to come in for the kill?
I read somewhere that Chubb had the most broken tackles, or maybe the second most broken tackles last year. And don't get me wrong, Hunt's an incredible player. You saw that with the Chiefs. I think he set the rushing record in 2017, I think it was 2017, with 1,300 yards. Stefanski spoiled for choice, but PPR at the end of the season, I think Chubb will edge it. He's just such a phenomenal talent. He'll get the red zone looks. I think Hunt, yes, if you're talking about safety, you're talking about being that pussy who refuses to go big, go for Hunt. He'll give you a safe PPR floor of maybe 12 points a week, like a James White. I think he's a Cleveland James White. But Chubb, he's the big boy. You'll get the TD looks, and in that offense, it'll create the gaps. Yeah, got to go Chubbly. Respect my boy. That's why he's been drafted in the 2nd and not the 6th.
I'll let our guest go first before I tell you how wrong you are.
I think in terms of if we're looking at quality of player and how it fits into the offense, I would side with Goat in that Chubb is the better player on the offense. However, if we're talking of drafting, I'm going to be walking away with Hunt every day of the week because in terms of ADP, in terms of value, I would, if I could only pick up one of those two players, I would much rather pick up Hunt in the 6th and have a ceiling shot having an RB1 than picking up Chubb in the 2nd and hoping that he lives up to his floor.
I could not agree with you more. Do I think that Chubb will finish with more points than Hunt? Absolutely. Do I like Chubb at the ADP he's going at? For example, I sat there and I looked at Eckler or Chubb, knowing that neither of them would come back to me next time round. Every time, I'll take Eckler. Would I take Aaron Jones or Chubb? Getting a bit closer, but I'd take Kenyon Drake, Josh Jacobs, Miles Sanders. I take all of those over Nick Chubb. Right? I mean, who went just after Nick Chubb today? We had Le'Veon Bell, James Conner. I'd say he's the bottom end of maybe the tier 2 of running backs. And you're having to reach for him at the end of the 2nd round, where there's a lot of wide receiver value on the board. Now, you look at Kareem Hunt. I got him halfway through the 6th round. And the big thing about Kareem Hunt is his potential upside. You can't predict injuries. You can't draft for injuries. You can't pick for injuries, right? You can't trade for injuries. If Nick Chubb takes an injury and misses any time, as I said earlier, Kareem Hunt instantly becomes more valuable to me than Nick Chubb was to whoever drafted them. And that's just how it goes. So when you can draft a player in the 6th with...
Draft Hunt? Is that what you're saying? Handcuff him? Well, think about it. What you're saying there is you've drafted Chubb and you've covered your own bottom.
Yeah, you could. You could stack it. You could stack it by all means. But for my opportunity cost, let's call it that. That's like a marketing term, business term, isn't it, boys? I don't know.
Economics.
Economics, yeah, there you go. For the opportunity cost, Hunt just is such a better option for me than Chubb. And for that reason, I'll pass on Chubb a hell of a lot, and I will sometimes reach for Kareem Hunt where I need to.
Go on, Matt.
I think the best thing about Hunt, sorry, Matt, just to cut in on you,
go for it.
is that he is a lottery ticket combined with an Austin Eckler type player, he's going to be lining up as a wide receiver. You're going to be getting the PPR points, but you also have a ticket to the big time, and that combined in a 6th round pick is phenomenal value.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to close it out, I think Matt, you've put it perfectly there. The Godwin, Evans, and the Lockett and Metcalf, they're really falling close in the ADP. So you really do have to pick between one or the other. They're not going to come back around the snake for you. With this, it's a different ball game, and I agree. Out of everyone there, I'm going all the way for wide receiver or over Nick Chubb if it falls down to me in that position. But so I'm also a Kareem Hunt pick there. But with that, we'll call it a day, and a massive thank you to you two for joining us today. And don't forget, if you've enjoyed today's show, be a friend and tell a friend.
If you're listening to the podcast, then go ahead and subscribe and drop us a review on whatever platform you use. If you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and drop a like. YouTube algorithm down there somewhere, I think it is. It all helps us more than you can imagine, and best of all, it is absolutely free for you to do.
If you'd like to leave a comment or any questions on how wrong all the other people were and how right Goat was, or if you're coming to us via a podcast service, you can always drop us an email to fantasyfootballzoo@zoohousesports.com. Alternatively, if you're on the Twitter, you can tweet me at ZooHouseGoat.
Or me at ZooHouseZebra.
Or me at ZooHouseBear. Or the podcast in general on Twitter and Instagram at ZooHouseSports_.
So a massive thank you for all you listening, and as always, we'll catch you next week.